Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me in another video. So Gucci just had their Resort 2026 collection and I thought we'd talk about it today. Also worth noting, this collection was designed by the design team. As you likely already know, Sabato De Sarno left the brand earlier this year. It was announced that Demna is now going to be the creative director and we will see his first collection this fall. But this is, in the meantime, a Resort 2026 collection done by the design team. So I thought we'd take a look at this collection, specifically the handbag, some themes that we're seeing, and is this a move towards what we are going to see with Demna? The first bag that we saw was this cosmetic pouch with strap. We're seeing several of these that come in this croc style, monogram, other leather versions, shiny leather. But this is not a new type of style, like this kind of cosmetic bag we've seen from other brands. Dior has their Nomad pouch, Hermes has their Brie-de-Brac. I've seen like contemporary brands do this sort of style, but it's supposed to invoke, I think, this cosmetic travel pouch. Perhaps this woman is on vacation in Italy, in Florence, where this collection was held. This is the first bag. It comes in an assortment, different materials, especially when something is done in croc, unless this is a mock croc or alligator, but Gucci does like to do the exotics. So it's just interesting that there's going to be like a range of materials being used for this style. Of course, I always think with exotics, and I think of, there was, what was it, last year they were doing the mob wife aesthetic. There were a lot of looks that sort of leaned into that style, that kind of like glamorous Italian style. I felt this collection was less of that like Sabato era athleisure tracksuits, sneakers that were like mixed in. Less of that, which I also think is very Demna, but I think Sabato's whole thing was the casual grandeur. We didn't see much of that here with this collection. This to me felt very different. It felt quite opulent. Some of these looks actually reminded me of the model Daria in the mid-2000s when she would model for Tom Ford era Gucci, like that kind of opulence with the exotics, the furs. Next we had this double flat bag with what looks like this antique gold chain and classic Gigi logo. It has like a double flap. It comes in a variety of colors, blue, green, this gray, as well as this use of this thick grain leather, faded metallic pattern, brown suede with the mini embossed Gigi monogram, this teal embossed, black leather embossed, as well as this like white and red kind of like candy cane stripe pattern with the GG logo. Also, one thing that we're seeing here is the return of this more classic GG logo. Again, we saw that for the last design team collection. The set had that GG, so it makes me think they're going to go back to this logo. Less of the Marmont, although we're still seeing it in this collection as well, like with the cosmetic bags, they had the Marmont logo. So next we have a throwback bag. This is a Tom Ford era Gucci bag, the Dragon bag, and it is quite opulent. It has this gold chain, and the chain links look like they're made with this like bamboo style. And then a lot of the materials, it looks like they're made of this kind of snakeskin, python, that kind of exotic. And I actually think this is quite a beautiful throwback bag. It reminds me of 2 years ago when the design team, they brought back that horse bit clutch from the Tom Ford era. It seems like they're doing that again with this design team collection. And again, it was an iconic bag roughly from 20 years ago. And I feel like when a bag hits this point, like that 20-year mark, that's when a brand, if it's like an it bag, they will reissue it. Again, it feels very mob wife aesthetic. I just feel like a bag like this needs to be worn with like a fur coat. It comes in this gray, purple, and black. I also felt with this collection, we did see a return to nods to Tom Ford. A lot of the models were wearing those bold aviator sunglasses. That is like a Tom Ford signature. Also those square toe kitten heels. You know, I also felt a little bit of Frida Giannini as well, but definitely the Tom Ford, definitely the reissue of this bag. We also saw the half horse bit motif in this kind of like dipped in slouchy bag. This is a style that I feel almost every brand has, these kind of dipped in bags. Prada, Celine, Dior, like a bunch of brands now have bags like this, but this is like the Gucci version and it comes in this gray leather. It looks like this very shiny, is this python? I think it might even be python, this black python bag or snakeskin, and this brown suede like micro embossed GG. Next we have this new tote. So this is a new readily available style called the Gucci Giglio tote. I'm probably definitely saying that name wrong, so I do apologize. But it comes in, it looks like this brown shiny leather, and then it looks like the interior on this brown one actually has that brown and beige monogram. Makes me wonder if this is reversible or this certain style is. What is currently available, like the monogram one, which they also have on the runway, on the website it just looks, it's just one way you can wear it, but it'd be cool like if it's like the Neverfull inside out. A lot of bags and a lot of totes are moving back to that kind of style, like the Neverfull or YSL, their new It bag. It's very similar to that actually. It's the YSL Y bag. Felt a lot of this collection did remind me of a little bit more of Vaccarello coated YSL. Some of these really powerful shoulders, these blazers worn with lacy sets, very sleek and seductive is what I think of Vaccarello. It felt a little bit more Gucci in that it was a little bit more colorful, different color palette than I think what we typically see from Vaccarello. Also, there's this double circle bamboo handle bag. Again, that interlocking GG logo in this beige and brown combination. Also lots of pattern. Of course, when I think of pattern, I think of Alessandro Michele. I don't think this was directly Alessandro Michele, but I think of his period as quite maximal. The bold and bright use of color and pattern. We're definitely seeing that a lot with this collection. Definitely a mixture of different styles. It felt like a best of different eras of Gucci combined. I think that was like one thing that wasn't as felt with some of the earlier Sabato de Sarno collections. Like there wasn't as much of a use of bold, bright patterns, like colorful patterns more specifically. Like yes, there was like heritage monogram, but I think of bright, bold, colorful patterns as very Alessandro Michele. So we're definitely seeing that more here. But I also felt like little bits of Vaccarello inspiration with some of these silhouettes, like these prominent, quite poofy shoulders and then high-waisted skinny pants, often paired with mules. Like these specific looks I could easily see someone like Kim Kardashian wearing, which Kim was formerly an ambassador at Demna's Balenciaga, so I wonder if she'll follow him to Gucci because it's under the same umbrella at Kering. I could see some of these looks like on her. Yeah, a lot of these powerful shoulders, big leather jackets, silhouette wise mixed in with the lingerie reminded me of YSL, but then the color and the pattern felt quite Gucci. There are a lot of like really sexy and I would say very like womanly looks. Next we had this clutch. It's really hard to see, but yeah, black little clutch here. And then next we have these monogram Boston bags. So we've got this pale kind of gray color and then this brown monogram. So there's that. And then we've got still the use of the Marmont logo. But yeah, to me this collection felt like a combination of, I think, what we think of the best of Gucci to be. Like very glamorous, very maximal, quite sexy. There were those retro moments. I think of Gucci as a brand that also loves to dig into its archive and references. I think of Alessandro in the 70s. I think what is happening here is Gucci has set the table for whatever Demna is going to do. To either push this idea of maybe an opulent, sexy woman, maybe turn this idea on its head. I think whatever Demna is going to do, it's going to be a brand that we're going to talk about, generate a lot of social media coverage, and most likely also controversy. I actually think Gucci is a brand that lends itself to that. Like to me, Gucci isn't like a minimal or quiet luxury or that kind of brand that they tried to make it with the Sabato era. It just was not working. Even though towards the end I thought he was kind of finding his way. Revenue wise for the past couple years, Gucci has been on the downs. And I just think unfortunately Sabato wasn't able to turn the brand around at a pace that Gucci needed it to be at, especially because Kering relies so much on the success of Gucci. And while with Demna, he is a huge risk. A lot really does ride on his shoulders. I think it's also one of those kinds of situations where it's like the greater the risk, the greater the reward. To me, Gucci is not a brand that is about playing it safe. Even though I'm personally not a fan of Demna, let's just say there are other debuts I'm more interested in this fall, but regardless, it doesn't really matter. I think it's going to be a brand that people talk about again. I think Demna, he's very controversial. He's like the fashion edgelord of our time. And I think this collection did what it was supposed to. It set the table. It's quintessential Gucci. It set a baseline for what I think Demna is going to expand upon. That's my video for today. Thank you so much for joining me in another one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!